Thanks a ton for that. Absolutely excited to have such a power packed panel available here for the next 40 minutes. It makes it fairly easy, for me to be the moderator. It's always easier to ask the questions, so I'll enjoy myself through this time. Also, very interesting, to have such a assortment on the panel. We've got Siddhant and we've got Ritiman from the enablement side, and we're talking about customer experience. So they would probably have a couple of layers where the customer is the client and the client's customers. So that would be an interesting area. And with Vivek, with Rashi, and with Manish, great category diversity. Apart from the standard, apparel, footwear, consumer durable. So, it is poised to be, great learnings for all of us over the next 40 minutes. I do believe that, I'd love to take, the same question across, and anyone, please feel free to pitch in at any point in time. But, the first question that I think I'd love to ask is the new CX lessons learned during the pandemic, because that was a different fast forward, which accelerated many learnings and innovation in your standard retail playbook, but none more pronounced than the D2C push and a digital first kind of an approach. So, I know Vivek, probably with Chumbak, we'd love to start with you, because probably the most mature brand in terms of the number of years, and also a lot of offline presence before the online. So if you would like to kickstart things, Vivek, please.
Sure. I think some of the learnings that we had, post pandemic was obviously the level of new consumers dropped almost to like under 10%. And, immediately for the first couple of weeks, we were trying to understand what kind of strategy would do. Offline was closed, online was closed. And then we kind of figured out, listen, the only other way that we can do this is go back to our database and saying that, listen, what is this kind of consumer promos or kind of reach outs that we need to do to activate people to come back to us. It's going to be extremely difficult, not just expensive, but extremely difficult to reach new consumers and tell the story and all of that. So I think our biggest learning was that, listen, how can we increase repeats in this category? And in the first quarter itself, we saw like a pretty high 15-20% jump in our repeats that came in. And not just with promos or stuff like that, but I think mainly by just reaching out, telling consumers that we can ship, and even our stores got involved when some of them, 4 or 5 of them, slowly started opening and would do video calls to consumers and all. But again, the heart of it was going back to your consumers, your loyalists, people who bought with you before. So I think that was our biggest learning, saying that focus 100% on consumers who've shopped with you and have shown you brand love in the past.
Sure. Excellent. Thanks for that. Clearly, the gold mine of the existing customer and their repeat propensity is a huge mine for a brand like yours.
Yeah.
So Manish, I'd love to hear your inputs on the same from a WOW Skin Sciences standpoint. How did the pandemic, or what changed in the overall strategy in this last 18 months, and how has it panned out, from that perspective?
So Naveen, I think D2C brands are by default supposed to enhance CX levels to, I think that's one area where we have always focused a lot from day one. How do you continue to build relationship with your customers? How do you continue to build a loyalty around it? I think that is something which has to be inbuilt. If that's not fixed, I think it's a no-goer for anyone who's there. But we've continued to really put the customer ahead of everything pre or post pandemic. But during the pandemic, I think what we did quickly was also business was anyways, wouldn't like to be selfish here, but I think the pandemic was the best to happen for D2C brands, right? I think we had to switch gear about creating brand love during that time. I think our focus was, if you really want to build brand love, and if you really want, this is the time to do it. I think it was not about selling for us that time. It was purely focusing on customers. It was all about building customer more deeper trust with them, because we are anyways here to sell 24/7 to them. I think we really were trying to be very innovative on how we can reach out to our customers a little bit more during tough times. How do you build out more bonding around with it? I think that was our key learning. I think you need to really today being a digital led business, you can feel your consumers a little bit more clearer than how you would do it traditionally. And I think it was being more adaptable. I think it taught the team. One is being human at that time. Sales would anyways come. I mean, brand love is something which I mean, it was a time where we could have just built free brand love, right? And I think at our end was purely forget selling during this time. Let's be human. Let's create togetherness with our customers, which really paid off for us. I think that 2-3 months of shifting gears of sell to love really created the momentum for us for the rest of the year. And I think we continue to see that tripling effect. It'll continue to build. But at our end, I think speed and agility at which we adapted it and what we tried doing, we tried a little bit more unique tech enablers at our end to understand our customers was some really key good learnings for us for the base what we are today on. So would love to keep short and simple. I think it's been a pretty great time to be in, at least on a D2C side for us.
Excellent. So good learnings for everyone here. So brand love, speed, and agility. My buzzwords from what you just mentioned. Allow me to bring in Rashi, please. You cater to a lovely category. So I'd love to hear your thoughts there in this time, because I do know I myself as a user have used Heads Up for Tails for lack of an option during these times. So yeah, please.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me here, Naveen. I think for us as well, like everyone else, it was a very, very challenging time. Also because some part of us, of our category, primarily pet food, does come under essentials. And when the first lockdown hit, there was just no clarity on being able to supply anything. So I think we had to focus a lot of energy on, not energy, but really being there for our customers, because they were frantic, they were scared, they didn't know where to get supply. I mean, you have to be able to feed your pet, and if they are on pet food, then it's something that you need. So there was a lot of time, and the team really mobilized towards trying to fix supply chains that have been so broken. Like Manish said, just being close to our customers, trying to see how we can solve the pain points for them. Also, because retail closed down, all the focus shifted to online, and we saw a lot of new customers, and we've really been focusing on the online piece for the last 18 months, and we realized how different the online and offline customer is as well. Like there's a huge difference, and that's been very exciting to understand, to understand deeply that segment and what drives them versus somebody who comes and buys offline. So definitely more focus on tech, continuing to stay close to our customers and helping them out as much as we can, and just like both Vivek and Manish said, the agility, the adaptability, also how customers were reaching out and connecting with businesses in different ways, WhatsApp and video calls, and so much more sort of FaceTime, phone time instead of physical face-to-face. So all of that has been very interesting takeaways, and we've just become better at doing all of those things. So it has been a challenging but interesting couple of months.
So Rashi, Heads Up for Tails initially was more an offline brand with an online as well, or was it offline, online, or digital first? And how did the pandemic change that? Or so apologies for my ignorance on this, but
no, Naveen, we started off online. And that's because we couldn't get into any of the pet stores in the country. Really want our stuff. But because we were introducing so many new India first products, the online wasn't allowing discoverability as easily, and people weren't going to type those products in because they didn't really exist. So we moved offline, keeping the online as well, but smaller. And we went big on the offline piece to enable discoverability. So you could come in for a bag of pet food, which is really an essential, but then we would then be able to connect with you on your pet and be able to recommend new products and allow all of those products to be discovered. So it's been like that, and now the focus is back online really. So
great.
Yeah,
Great. I also think that the for agility in terms of getting the tech ready faster because of the pandemic would have been a blessing in disguise as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, there's still a lot. I mean, tech also moves so quickly, and the speed at which the whole e-commerce piece is so fast that it's hard to keep up. But definitely, that piece was already there, and we just had to, build it up more and hire more people and build that tech team. And so it's been a lot of that work.
Sure. So now coming to my peers there, Shopify as well as Picker on the other side of it, trying to enable all these D2C growth stories. Rithiman, I think trying to scale your business in this time when this entire pandemic kind of a situation came in. What were your learnings given everything that the D2C brand owners are here talking about as unknowns from their end? What was it at your end?
So see, initially it was challenging, obviously. Like when the lockdown happened, obviously everything was closed. The hubs were closed initially, right? When the lockdown initially happened, right? But then when the zonings happened, things started to get on very easily, right? But what happened was consumers' habit completely changed, right? As we know, right? Because during the lockdown, right, consumers got into the habit of ordering from the kirana stores or retail stores. So consumer got into the habit of getting the product very quickly, right? So when things opened up, so consumer expected the same from the online e-commerce websites, right? So although in the last year, so the expected TAT and everything was like at max was 5 to 7 days, although it can extend, right? So this year, what they got to us, even the D2C websites, they got to us, they said that it has to be like what Amazon offers for their platform is ideally has to be like 1 to 2 days or 2 to 3 day max. So what we had to do is you can't do it physically through the ideal logistics way. So what we had to do is we had to open up warehouses physically distributed across India, right? It's like the ideal hub and spoke model, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we had to do. So to the consumer, ideally we are delivering a product in 1 to 2 days. So what happens is basically a product, for example, which last year you were delivering from Bombay to, let's say, Northeast, right? This year we are delivering the same product by predicting it and storing X quantity in Guwahati warehouse, for example.
Basically localization.
Same customer. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Right. And we're delivering it in, let's say, 1 to 2 days, right? So this is a huge learning that we got, right? And we are doing it for most of our customers right nowadays. And this is the thing, this is the need of the hour. Not in most of the pin codes, but approximately in most of India that we are doing it. And from the localization of the warehouse, as you said, right?
Great.
Because consumers need it, right? It's high time that we start doing it.
Excellent. Fair enough. Yeah. So, Siddhant, last but not the least, I think Shopify has been in the crosshairs of this huge plethora of D2C brands wanting to set up their own e-commerce. So, that by itself is a challenge and a learning from the pandemic in terms of the accelerated growth in India. So, any thoughts on how you all saw it in terms of clients and customers and planned for it better?
Yeah, 100%, right? Like the pandemic took us all by surprise. It was such a challenging time for the entire country, right? Like right from the front lines all the way to the retail industry, right? Everyone was impacted by it. I just wanted to start out by calling out that I'm a big fan of all the D2C brands here. I've actually personally consumed each of your products for my pets, for myself. It's been great to see the brands really grow. I know we have Heads Up for Tails and Wow on our platform. So, it's been such a pleasure to see Indian brands grow to, global scale and make us all proud, right? So I just want to call that out. In terms of the CX lessons, right? Like I'll speak first from our perspective because for us, the customer was first the merchant, right? Who was suddenly looking for a new digital platform and looking to go online. What we did during that time was we tried to support as many merchants who were trying to go D2C, right? By extended trials, we connected with the ecosystem, and we had like, bundling offers for our merchants to really ease into that journey, right? Because you're not going to suddenly start doing sales when you start off with your own platform. So that was some of the things we did, and we obviously saw the growth of our merchant base and the growth of our existing merchants' businesses. Almost 2x increase in terms of number of merchants, almost 3x increase in GMV. So it was, that trend is there, it's happening, right?
Yeah.
Two more things that we noticed were, and this is more from like, merchant trends. One was offline obviously took a big hit, right? And we saw a lot of these brands who used to consider online as a channel, but it was a small part of their business and they would invest into it, but that became mainstream suddenly, right? And the other was even marketplaces, right? Like some of the marketplaces, online marketplaces, which were selling a lot of products, they were impacted more from a pandemic perspective because they were very strict, lockdowns, and they couldn't take any orders, or they couldn't even find a workaround to reach their consumers at that time, right? Some of the things that merchants did that we saw during that time was to, like Manish said, express customer empathy, right? Like they launched either new products, more content in terms of like engaging with their customers, more relaxed return policies. Those things worked really well, right? Like, and you were able to do that because you were on your own platform and you were able to decide what experience you want to give to your customer. Lastly, like, Rithiman said, right? Like logistics also fundamentally changed, right? Like, some of the things that we saw on that side was contactless deliveries, right? Big part of how payment behavior also changed, and it shifted not just in terms of like lesser cash on delivery orders and more prepaid, but even within cash on delivery it became more pay on delivery, right? So it was contactless payments even at the endpoints. So those are some things we saw, and I think they're here to stay, right? Like it's sticky. So yeah.
And it's a great recap of the insights, and some of them do raise goosebumps because then it brings it to the core that, yes, those are the kind of things that we were dealing with at that time. And now, as you said, it's become core, and it's become what people have begun to expect, irrespective. Now that's become the new normal. So thanks. And I think it was a great coverage of the first part of this discussion. I'll move into the second, and that's probably more for the D2C brand owners, which is, since all three of you have, offline presence as well as online, are you seeing consumers demanding a more unified experience, whether it is a fulfillment experience or it is just a customer experience in terms of customer care? And we can probably again start with Vivek, and then move to Manish and Rashi. Are you seeing that convergence as well?
So I think pre-pandemic, our split of offline online was pretty skewed towards the offline. We were almost 70% of our business was coming in from offline. But an interesting thing was that if you looked at, and as I was mentioning, this entire core database of our shoppers and users, and if you looked at that, almost about a third of them, about 34% of them, kind of shop between both channels. So you'd have a bunch of people who start off, walk into a mall or walk into high street, look at the store and buy, and then move their journey online after that, from the second or third purchase in that sense. Or the other way around, someone who's bought online, seen, organically or through some of the advertising come onto our site, and then happens to see this brand in a mall or, any of these high streets that's there. So we've seen that transition happen pre-pandemic also, it was happening. I think post this, I think consumers' expectations actually are honestly pretty much the same. I mean, you get me the product faster, get me the best price kind of thing. I don't think consumers are saying that, the experience is a big difference between both. I think that's more from the brand's perspective that, we've always tried to make sure that the experiences are kind of similar throughout. And that's, this entire D2C kind of thing, saying that when I kind of have consumer data and then I'm able to contact them directly, keep in touch with them and build that relationship, that works faster. And then obviously we've seen a huge amount of also, the marketplaces come across and kind of a lot of sales online has kind of increased there as well.
Right.
But I think it's that kind of balance that's there in the experience, that it's there across both the channels, have kind of always been the same.
Got it. Got it. So Manish, I think, I'll just add to my question there. We work with a lot of traditional retailers as well, and they've struggled to get the offline channel to be able to promote and create an omni experience and not have them get that sense of cannibalization between channels in terms of being able to go ahead and provide that unified experience to customers. Your thoughts on that? Is it a real challenge at all? Probably, for your brand, it's been more recent.
It's a very, the large guys have a problem coming online, and we D2Cs have a problem going offline. I think the problems remain the same. At our stage, we are at 88%, which comes online on sales as a company, and 12% is offline. One thing very baffling stats, at least in our category, the West, 50% of buying happens in this category online right now, and it's happening over the last 5 years. But we as a nation is so large, not everybody buys online. All right. And I think we spent a lot of, personally, we built a tech to understand the customer behavior on where does he buy. We really spent a lot to understand customer behavior. And the baffling point is that there's no loyalty of a customer where he's buying you. I'm not in that theory of that cap that where you are, somebody sees an ad somewhere else, comes and buys you off somewhere else. I think there's too many choices for a customer.
Sure.
We're fighting 30,000 plus brands online versus offline. Obviously, only the great ones get there, because one is a retailer only keeps you if you sell. But we're in a very interesting phase today, because the digital consumption of consumers are so high today, but they still want to look, feel, touch before buying. In our category where it's skin and hair, at least they like to have a sensorial feel, try it, and then buy it from a kirana store. I think our journey is just about getting started, at least on the offline side. It's a huge place for us to conquer. In the West, you're seeing the mom and pop stores really diminishing. But I'm a strong believer that India's next couple of decades is still going to be strong offline. You'll still continue to see online get a little larger. 5 to 7% of India is buying our category online. The rest, 93, 94%, we got such a huge scope. So I think it's very important to be building a business which is for today. But obviously we are building a larger outcome, what we are doing long term. But you really have to be very adaptable and reachable to a consumer at the closest touch point where he can. So I think it's all about spread. Quality of customers where they buy. I've seen customers jump from one marketplace to another marketplace, even for a 10 rupees difference, right? So I think we've mapped that journey, understanding you don't make those kind of data errors that you're reading customer cohorts, customer regions, and then you can really adapt towards using data better. But I can bet you none of us, at least at our D2C level stage, are learning to read data better right now. Nobody's a champion of it because there's so much to do. But I think the one who really does it well will be a real large
winner.
Yeah.
No, thanks for that insight. So yeah, Rashi, in the case of Heads Up for Tails, I'm sure you also see a lot of customers walking into stores, buying online as well, all repeat purchases then online, vice versa, depending on where they are, etc. Is that a behavior you encourage, or do you feel that the team works on a unified experience, or it doesn't matter?
It matters, definitely. I personally believe that we actually want to replicate our offline experience online. We're able to give a lot of help, advice, recommendation at the store level. We have really worked on training our people to become experts and really learn and add value to the customer. And I feel like we're not yet able to do that online as well. So we are trying to, how do you take personalization to that whole different level? Right now at our stores, we know so many hundreds of our customers by names, by their pets' names. We recognize them, they come for their spas, and it is a high repeat clientele. But how do you take that online and give that feeling of deep connection and value add in a big way? So that's something that we are working on. But I think regardless of online or offline, customers are looking for speed, they're looking for value, they're looking for price for sure. And just making, sometimes the store sizes are different. So we have customers who come into maybe a neighborhood store and say, oh, but I saw this online, why don't you have it here? Or we may have a different set of products on sale online, and people are always comparing. So yes, there is that big effort to try and unify, but it's not as easy to do as it may seem.
Sure. No, I think Manish has mentioned that there's a long way to go in terms of us championing how that big data gets utilized correctly, and who does that quicker will have more value proposition there. So Ridhiman, I think just picking up from what Rashi said in terms of personalization, I remember a brief conversation between us earlier about how customers or even businesses expect an end-to-end branded experience in terms of communication, even in the last mile. So if you could share some light on that from a personalization standpoint, and I'll come to you next on a similar aspect, Siddhant.
Sure. So basically, everyone has said right correctly, right? So customer experience a unified experience, right, across all the platforms nowadays. More right with WhatsApp coming across, right? So what we do across all the platforms, right? One thing is first I'll start with the branding, right? Branding is a must for the D2C platforms, especially, right? So we start with the branding, right? Right from the tracking page to the labeling to everywhere now, since we've ventured into packaging also. So the packaging also has to be branded because customer can connect to that, right? So branding has to be across everywhere of the D2C brand, right? So it can't be our website, right? So you can't direct it to that. And if it's a big brand, so it has to be that big brand's domain, right? So we provide that. So that's first thing, right? And right from the get-go, so the moment the customer orders anything, so branding has to be present. So right from the product website, and the moment the customer gets the product also, then it has to be there, right? The second thing is the moment the customer orders something, right? So there has to be some form of communication, right? So let's say, suppose the customer orders something or clicks on the website, right? So they should be, at least I can say from the end of logistics, right? So they can see that when is the product getting delivered, even before selecting the product or going to the cart, right? They can at least see that at least the expected time of delivery is, let's say, 5 to 6 days or 1 to 2 days, based on whatever is the mode of delivery, right? Even before you're proceeding to the checkout page, right? So that should be there, right? Let's say after you have checked out in the D2C website, right? So then starts the whole messaging portion, right? You have to totally engage with the customer in each and every event, right? So it has to be across all the platforms, because nowadays customer, you don't know about the customer, most probably because customers are mostly active on WhatsApp. Email is slightly, although we do use email, but you don't know what the customer, it based on the customers, right? It's highly likely that customers are likely to be respond on WhatsApp, but we do on WhatsApp also, SMS is also, on emails also, but it has to be again branded on all the platforms, that it's coming from that D2C brand, that the product is coming, that the delivery boy has went out for delivery, even if it's delayed, right? You have to inform the customers, because Indian customers are very finicky. Sorry to say that, but Indian customers are very finicky, and highly likely even for a COD order, right? If they've ordered a COD order, they're highly likely that they would order from a different other website, right? So chances are high that they might accept that order and they would reject your order, right? Sure. So you should deliver it fast, and you should keep on engaging with that customer, right? With the branding and the messaging. Right? So that's the couple of two things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. For D2C brands, we all hope that the logistics players do that, just so that the gross to the net drip remains as thin as possible, especially in returnable categories. So yeah, we understand that is an important gap. So Siddhant, the slight variant to the same question, I picked it up from personalization. I think the holy grail of D2C, our own website, at least from a Shopify standpoint, is the repeat, is the experience, is the opportunity to personalize, and probably, as Manish said, there's really no loyalty, so to speak, today. But the own D2C could probably offer that, right? That's at least the assumption and the hope that D2C brand owners have from their own website.
100%, right? Like you completely own your customer. You have his data. He's, obviously consumed your product. I at the same time, I can totally relate to the challenges as well. Like it's a very competitive space. So, but that shouldn't stop anyone from building that, loyalty out there, right? So there are tools that we recommend merchants to use. First is on your comms channels, right? Like there's obviously you have to be available across the buying journey when they're on your website. That's the first step, right? Post that, we have great tools, like email, where you can use personalized sort of journeys with them, giving them personalized offers which can drive repeats. I think it's important to be available pretty much across, your phone, email, WhatsApp, and there are great tools that Shopify enables, whether it's directly through our own products or through an app that you can use on Shopify. Needless to say, Rithiman said, right, like once the order is placed, creating a personalized experience there also, right, in terms of delivery, is something, and really driving for that delight, right, is something that we've seen some big brands really do well, globally and in India, right? Like we've seen that. And if you're a large brand and you're on like some of the top D2C brands out there, right? Like because personalization can be a challenge, because reaching out to each customer at that scale can be a challenge. There are great tools like Shopify Flow, which we've enabled, right? Like where you can automate these tasks, where if somebody comes and buys a second time, then it'll literally send them a personalized email with an exclusive offer, which then reaches out to them at that point of time, right? So these are some of the things we've done. In general, though, like needless to say, like you have to be able to cut through the clutter with your product. You have to be able to cut through the clutter with your communication and the experience that you're creating, right? That's the way to drive loyalty.
Thanks, Tom. Good insights there. I think we just have a few minutes to go, and I'll kind of reserve that for a quick last comment from the D2C brand owners. So since CX is the theme for this session, I think marketplaces have set very high standards in terms of each touch point and the investments through tech and every aspect of the consumer journey. Is that something that D2C businesses kind of have very high standards to match up against? Is it even something that we should go after in the own D2C businesses? Vivek, any thoughts on that?
I think from a perspective of, even Manish was mentioning, I think the people who will actually win this is the people who read and kind of analyze data. We are also getting huge amount of data, obviously not the levels that the marketplaces are getting, but it's the ability to actually sift through the data, see what's actually relevant, and actually take that forward and implement stuff. And I think that's a challenge going forward. I think erstwhile kind of slight legacy offline brands will obviously find that tough. From DTC point of view, I think I don't think it will be difficult for us to catch up. But once we do, I think D2C brands will stand pretty tall by themselves.
Well, Manish, any last word on that?
So I think marketplace obviously is huge, but I can just tell you one thing. Over the last 6 to 9 months, we're coming at par. I think the first place on experiences, same-day deliveries also happening at our end. That is something which is there. I think if we get all those corrected, I think we are going direct is a lot more. We've seen it happening. The way how you can reach out to your customers again, engage with them. We're getting a little bit more detail to understand even customer experience on product levels, understanding a little bit more on city levels, understanding consumers' problems a little bit better, which is actually in the dark for you in the marketplace. I think, I am a strong believer this decade is going to be India. It's going to be filled with brands. And I think the world's changed, and so as we as Indians will change this decade. Indian consumers are, once you got couple of successful D2C brands, the experience, their promises, you'll see a lot more trials, first time consumers buying the whole ecosystem is going to rapidly change. I think we're just about starting. So I think it's good. We'll all have to be fluid because what worked yesterday is not going to work tomorrow. So you got to keep it very, very. You have to go along with the pace at which your customers as well as you are reinventing yourself every day. So I think it's very interesting times coming ahead.
Sure. The last word on that on this panel, Rashi, and any thoughts on that? Marketplaces, high standards, and CX. Well, what's in for the D2C?
Naveen, I think what Manish said about us trying to catch up, I think that's true. We're also working on faster logistics. I think that seems to be a big issue at the moment because everybody asks for Flipkart and Amazon delivery timelines. So that's definitely an area. I think also we have the ability to try to add more content, more value, more experience because it's more limited. So that's something that I know a lot of D2C brands are working on, and I think that we're going to get there.
Excellent. So that sounds great from the e-commerce enabler ecosystem supported by, let's say, Ritima and Siddhant, myself, that brands are now feeling the confidence that, there are enough tools, tech in place, last mile as well as cart level to be able to get there. I think we are out of time. Thoroughly enjoyed your participation and thoughts. Hopefully the participants as well attending would have found enough value addition from the great brands and businesses we are supporting here. Thanks a ton for your participation.
Thanks so much for having us. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.